So I head off to do a card review, and suddenly there's 28 new officially reviewed cards ever since my last news video. Let's do some catching up. Hi everyone, this is D-Sum from Moosh Report, where we cover all things Lorcana, and you heard me right, there's so many new cards that we better jump right into Amber Ink, starting off with King Louis Jungle VIP. So King Louis here is a 7-cost character with 3/8 stats and 2 lore. So the stats wise is not that great, but the main thing to consider is his ability. Whenever another character is banished, you may remove up to 2 damage from this character. So that's actually really nice, simply because if your King Louis actually just banishes another character in a challenge, then you get to heal him right back up. Or even if it's your other character just banishing an opponent's character in a challenge, he heals right back up too. And then your opponent's characters, one thing to think about is they can't even use all their other smaller characters to just crash into King Louis and take out King Louis. Because if they have 3 or less willpower, they'll get banished by King Louis in return. And then after that, since they got banished, King Louis will just heal his own damage right back up. So yeah, there's really no good way to take him out unless you have either one very big characters on the board, like say a Maui demigod, or otherwise you're gonna need card remover like some of your Last Stand or Dragonfire. So yeah, King Louis can actually stay on the board pretty long, and I think this will make many Jungle Book fans very happy. Moving on, we have Rapunzel Sunshine. So this is a 2-cost character with 1/4 stats and 1 lore, and she's a simple, nice ability of Exert Her to remove up to 2 damage from a chosen character. So basically you get Healing Glow built into a character, and she can just use it every single turn. That's a pretty simple but nice ability. You can use her to heal right up that Master Gotter, or otherwise just all your other characters. So that's a pretty nice ability, and with 4 willpower, she stays on the board pretty long. So yeah, this is a pretty nice card. And of course, the main thing though to talk about here is actually her artwork. Because if you look at Rapunzel, she doesn't really have this green colored dress, but that's if you only see the movie. Apparently, this is something I didn't know. If you check the original concept art for the movie Tangled, then the original Rapunzel concept design there actually shows her wearing this green colored dress in pretty much the same outfit. So I saw the picture, someone showed it to me on Twitter, and I was like, wow, okay, that's something really interesting to know, because especially as a Dreamborn, because we always think that they are kind of reimagined and usually their outfits kind of change from the main movie. So I didn't think about it too much at the beginning, but it's great to know that there's actually an origin to this rework art. Okay, so next up, Painting the Roses Red. So this is a simple card with 2 costs, with the ability up to 2 chosen characters get -1 strength this turn, and then you draw a card. So this is a nice card that just replaces itself. You just get to draw a card, and that's something simple. The other ability of just reducing 2 characters with -1 strength could be useful, a bit situational, but the main thing to note is definitely that this is for Amber Ink, which means that you want to play it with your Ariel Spectacular Singer and your Mulan Reflecting. So you want to play many song cards. So this Painting the Roses Red, unless you plan to somehow carry on playing Hakuna Matata, then you want to play this Painting the Roses Red, simply because Hakuna Matata's job was just to get ink. So this one, you might as well play Painting the Roses Red. You might get to use it. If not, you can still ink it. It does the same job. Why not? So yeah, Painting the Roses Red is a nice new song card for Amber Ink. Next up, for Amethyst, we have Blue Fairy, Rewarding Good Deeds. So 2 cost, 1/1 stats with 1 lore with Evasive. And then there's also the ability of whenever you play a Floodborn character, you may draw a card. Now, I think that in general, a lot of the whenever you play a Floodborn character cards, there's been quite a few of them in this set, a lot of them are not too great. For example, Mrs. Judson, you can keep getting new ink into the inkwell every single turn whenever you play a Floodborn, but it isn't that easy to play a Floodborn character unless you get a really good one that can just be played on its own. For example, say Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman is one of those cards that I think you don't even really need the Floodborn shift ability. You can just play that Donald Duck. But that's besides the point. The main point is, often when you want to play a Floodborn character, unless you have a lot of them inside your deck, it's not that easy to pull off. And then you will draw a card after that, and that's kind of where the card advantage ends. So it's a not too easy ability to trigger unless you have a very specialized deck, which kind of makes me think that it will be a bit tough to actually build a deck like this, maybe at least right now where there still aren't that many great Floodborns yet, but who knows? I'd love to be proven wrong if someone actually manages to get one of this when you play a Floodborn kind of deck actually work out well in the meta. So this is something to look out for now. Next, we have Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio's Conscience. So also another character with evasive, and he has the ability, when you play this character, if a character named Pinocchio in play, you may draw a card. Now, we've seen a couple of Pinocchio so far. There's the one that's a 2-cost character with 3 lore, but is a vanilla, or the other Pinocchio that gets to exert your opponent's character. So these are both interesting. There's one more that's going to be shown later on, is the new Pinocchio Floodborn. That being said, just having to have a specific character on the board and having Jiminy Cricket in hand ready to play is kind of tough to pull off, maybe because it's a special situation and you don't want to be in a situation where top decking, you don't have a Pinocchio in play, and then you go into Jiminy Cricket. That's what you top deck. And yeah, that's not going to be that fantastic. Moving on. Peter Pan Shadow, not sewn on. So this Peter Pan has evasive and rush, both are great abilities, but that being said, he doesn't have that fantastic stats to support it because he's a 4-cost uninkable and his 2 strength, 3 willpower stats isn't really great to support it to have rush. Though maybe it could take out something small, well, that's something to consider. The main thing though is that he has this tiptoe ability that gives all the other characters with rush to have evasive as well. So that's something nice. For example, if you have a Maui hero to all on the board, you can actually, if you have a Peter Pan Shadow, and then yeah, that Maui will be able to gain evasive and can actually take out any opponent's evasive characters. So that's the first part of evasive. Of course, the second part is just that if he's going to be stay on the board, he's not going to be taken out by opponent because they can't challenge him with evasive, then yeah, you just use him for rush. Then after that, you just keep questing him every single turn because he just has 2 lore. So that's the consideration, but his stats aren't too fantastic to support it. Yes, 2 strength isn't really great for taking out an opponent's character, and 3 willpower isn't really great for surviving even if you manage to take out their opponent's character. So that's something to consider. We'll need to see what is the meta, but if the meta works out, then this is definitely a fantastic card to counter if the opponent has, just many small characters to play with. Okay, next up, we have Pinocchio on the Run. So this is the Floodborn I was talking about earlier. It's a 5-cost character with Shift 3, and then he has Listen to Your Conscience. Whenever you play this character, you may return chosen character or item with cost 3 or less to their player's hand. So it is actually perfect because the other 2 Pinocchios that I mentioned earlier on are both 2 in character. So you can just play them on your second turn, and after that on your third turn, just go into Pinocchio on the Run, and after that straight away just bounce an opponent's character back to hand. You can bounce an item, but might as well just bounce a character. Stats wise, he's not that fantastic, but I actually like these kind of bounce effects like Genie on the Job. So yeah, this is a smaller version of it that can definitely be considered. Okay, moving on, we have Donald Duck Sleepwalker. So Donald Duck Sleepwalker is a 3-cost character with 0.5 stats, 1 lore, and he has the interesting ability of whenever you play an action card, this character gets +2 strength this turn. Now, this reminds me of Tigger over here, but the key difference here is that the stats are switched around so that Donald Duck actually has 0 strength. And I don't really like 0 strength characters because this really reminds me of Zeus, because Zeus is actually a decent character to use because although he has 0 strength, it's Challenger 4 and he can actually rush, so you'll take out your opponent's characters really fast. But for Donald Duck, he doesn't have rush, and then what you're going to do is you're going to play him on your turn 3, and on turn 4, you can play some action cards to pump him up and take out an opponent's character. But he gets to survive the challenge probably because he has 5 willpower, but even though he survives, on the following turn he's probably just going to get taken out right away because he has 0 strength and your opponents wouldn't feel anything by challenging to take out this Donald Duck. So I don't really like this Donald Duck. I much prefer the Tigger for Ruby Ink. Yes, it's a different ink, but at least the strength over here makes him something to really be more considered. Alright, so that's my thoughts on this. Then we have Ratigan's Marvelous Trap. So it's a really simple ability. It's a 3-cost item card, and you just banish it, and your opponent just loses 2 lore. Or your opponent. So this is a fantastic card for multiplayer because yeah, you can, if you have a multiplayer game with 4 players, then you can just banish this card and each of them lose 2 lore. It can reduce by 6 lore with 3 opponents, and then yeah, that's a very great value card. Aside from that, not something I expect to see for single player games. So that's Ratigan's Marvelous Trap. Next we have Mother Gotter, Withered and Wicked. Oh, I haven't covered it yet, so I guess this is the one I was talking about when I was speaking about Rapunzel earlier on. So Mother Gotter, she actually comes into play with 3 damage. And that's really nice because she comes in 3 damage. That just makes her a 3/1 character they can play on the second turn. So she will have similar stats to Phil. So that's actually not bad already, simply because you can actually use her to still take out, say, an opponent's Simba protective card. So yeah, then she does her job. That aside though, there's many cards that can heal her up, especially for example, your Rapunzels. But I'm thinking more of Gifted with Healing. So Rapunzel can come in on turn 4 and heal her right up to actually her 4 willpower. She heals 3, so you draw 3 cards. You don't have to wait for your opponent to set up for you to have something on the board to actually have 3 damage so they can heal up 3 and draw 3 cards. You can just do it on your own now with the combination of Mother Gotter. So that's something nice. But that aside though, that's not the only interaction with the cards from her own story. Another card to consider is Magic Golden Flower. So with Magic Golden Flower, on turn 1 you can play it. On turn 2, play Mother Gotter and straight away use your Magic Golden Flower to heal her for her 3 damage, and straight away you get a 3/4 character on turn 2. Is that great? Well, that's a vanilla character, 3/4 on turn 2. That helps you to control the board slightly better, but then again, I'll probably have done it as well if I managed to play something in turn 1. So this is an interesting lore interaction because they're from the same movie, but yeah, you might as well just play Mother Gotter with Rapunzel Gifted Healing, heal up by 3, draw 3 cards, and everyone, well, not your opponent, is gonna be very happy. So yes, that's Mother Gotter. Next, we have Baloo, Fun-Loving Bear. So this is also again the very basic vanilla, like your Prince Naveen Penniless Royal, because he's a vanilla with 3 costs and 4/3 stats. Or Horus if you think about it. So yeah, they have the similar stats, vanilla, simple card, and it triggers Wait Set, which I'll talk about later on, but yes, that's Baloo for you. Next, we have Raya, Leader of Heart. Raya, Leader of Heart is a shift character with shift 4, save 2 ink, and then she has the ability, whenever this character challenges a damage character, she takes no damage. So this is something very nice, simply because you can use her to just crash on your opponent character, and then she'll actually survive the challenge. That being said though, this ability only triggers when you're doing the challenging. If your opponent is the one challenging you, then yeah, you're gonna actually lose this Raya really pretty quickly, simply because she only has 3 willpower. So there are a couple of similar cards that has this kind of ability where they actually have this no damage, or rather resist. I'll talk more on them as we go into those cards. But yeah, for now I'll say that this Raya, she actually has an interesting ability, but her stats aren't too great even if you shift into her, because at 4 costs she's gonna be 5/3 stats, which is just like Scar. So yeah, this is okay. She'll survive the initial challenge, but after that, your opponent will just trade off with her either way. So it's not bad, but I would have preferred a slightly more better powered Floodborn character for Raya. Okay, next we have Go the Distance, one of my favorite songs actually. So Go the Distance, ready a chosen character of yours, and they can quest for the rest of this turn and draw a card. So that's pretty much the similar ability as Fan the Flames, but at 2 costs, and now it's a song card they can sing for free, and you get to draw a card to replace it. I think it's a very nice card to be considered, just that it might not fit too well in the current Amethyst Ruby deck. So that being said, that deck could be really well adjusted for Rise of Floodborn. Who knows? I think that there could be a very brand new Ruby deck with Shere Khan being one of the main characters for the Ruby deck, to actually try and have a lot of characters on the board to challenge to gain lore really quickly. So yeah, who knows? If it's that Shere Khan deck, then Go the Distance will actually work out really well, because it helps to actually just read your characters, they can challenge again, and you can gain extra lore once again from Shere Khan. So yeah, this is Go the Distance. Then we have Teeth and Ambitions, which is a song card which you do 2 damage to your own character to do another 2 damage to an opponent's chosen character. which makes me think that Ruby and Steel might work out really well, especially with a card like this, because Steel Ink currently has a lot of the resist characters. So you have something with resist +2, you can play Thief and Ambitions, you can deal 2 damage to your own character, but then because of resist, it takes no damage while you deal 2 damage to an opponent's chosen character. So that's Thief and Ambitions. I think it's a nice way to just stick out kind of like a fire the cannons in a way. A bit of conditioner, but I think it's still actually pretty decent. So yeah, that's the Thief Ambitions. And lastly, for Ruby, we have the most diabolical scheme. So at 3 costs, you can banish a chosen character of yours to banish an opponent's character. But your own character has to be a villain. So very conditional card to play. It is a bit tough, and I don't really like that it's an uninkable card. So yeah, would you play this over Dragonfire? I kind of think not, because Dragonfire, it costs 2 more. Sure, this is a song card, you can sing it for free, but you need to have a villain on the field. So you need to have sufficient villains to actually really make good use of the most diabolical scheme, while just at 2 costs more with your Dragonfire, you can just place it into every single deck. The most diabolical scheme is interesting, but we'll need to see a good outright villain deck to actually maybe make use of this probably. And maybe someone will finally use Hades, King of Olympus, because I've been waiting to see someone actually make that as a good viable deck. Okay, so that's Ruby Ink. Oh wait, there's one more. You can fly. So a chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this is something nice to keep your characters alive, and then they have evasive. So until the following turn, they can't be challenged by opponents as well. So 2 ways. One, you use it to actually take out an opponent's evasive character and give them evasive, they can challenge them. Or if not, just give it to one of your high law count character to just quest, and then it's evasive until the following turn. It can just quest again to maybe give you the game. So it's a pretty nice card addition to the Ruby deck. I'm not too sure how you'll fit in, but I think it's something that definitely should be considered for play as well. Then we have Alice Growing Good. This is actually a really good card that I feel, because this is a nice alternate win conditions in a sense. She kind of reminds me of Belle Strange but special, because she has a similar ability. When this character has 10 strength or more, she gets +4 law. That means she actually has 5 law. And the thing is, she actually is pretty easy to trigger off, because all your other characters gain support, which means that whenever they quest, they can give their strength to another character. So it's really easy to actually get Alice Growing Girl's ability. As long as all the characters on your field in total, all of them has at least 10 strength in total, you can just use them to quest. They give since they have support, they give their strength to the next character, until finally you give it to Alice at the very end, so that she has 10 strength in total, and she can quest for 5. So this is actually something I feel that could be really made into a deck, because yeah, you just need to have characters with a decent amount of strength on the board, and then you can actually get Alice to just quest for 5 really easily. Not to mention, she's inkable, she's only cost 3, that makes her cheaper than Belle. And yeah, I think that this is actually a really nice card that could actually trigger a whole wave of people playing something very different with having a lot of support. So yes, that's the idea. Next up, we have Popsicle. Popsicle is a really nice card actually, I feel, because whenever you play this card, you draw a card. It straight away replaces itself, and then furthermore, you banish this card, you can remove up to 2 damage from a chosen character. So this is a really nice item card that you can use for anyone who's playing item slinger decks. You've been playing Coconut Basket. It's time to replace Coconut Basket and play Popsicle, because this is a simple card that actually lets you draw. It's cheaper because you can play it for 1 ink, and yes, sure, you can only heal once because you need to banish it, but then yes, it's that much easier to trigger off. And not to mention, Popsicle comes with its own retriever with Nick Wow Willy Fox. So it's a 4-cost character with 2 4-stats and 2 laws, so that's really nice. And it has the ability, it's called a Hustle. When you play this character, you may return an item card named Popsicle from your discard to your hand. So you just need to keep playing it. You can draw a card, and then if you get Nick Wow later on, just retrieve it and you can play it for drawing a card again with a Popsicle. This is actually kind of similar with the fire cannons and Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Rogers ability with fire cannons dealing 2 damage to opponent's character, and then after that you use Captain Hook to just retrieve back the fire cannons. But that one is so much harder to pull off because both of them are just uninkable cards. Sure, Fire the Cannons is that much stronger than Popsicle because you can actually take out your opponent's character, so that's an idea, but Popsicle has draw a card, so it's so much faster to help your deck actually move along better as an item slinger deck, or even if it's not item slinger deck, I think it works out as a nice small package for a draw engine kind of way. You just play Popsicle, it gives you a card draw, kind of like say develop your brain in a sense. You're just drawing cards, and then after that just use it to heal up your characters whenever you need to, and after that just play Nick Wow to heal back your stuff again. Nick Wow may have one lesser strength than Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger, but he has 2 lore and he's inkable, so that makes him so much better. And I think that anyone playing Sapphire Ink should definitely really consider this Nick Wow Popsicle combo engine thing, because yeah, it's really a good combo engine just to play in pretty much any Sapphire deck. I think as long as you're not playing for some specific special kind of strategy, then yeah, you should definitely consider this Nick Wow combo. Okay, that's the Sapphire. And last one, I think this is Launch. So Launch is a card that banishes your chosen item of yours to deal 5 damage to your chosen character. So kind of like Dragonfire, but at 3 cost for Sapphire Ink, and you have to banish a chosen item to deal 5 damage. So it's a bit tougher to pull off because again, you need to have an item card on the field to banish off. But hey, we got Popsicle and we got Nick Wow. So yeah, these two actually help to facilitate your launch engine. So yeah, I think that these are all great cards for the people who really wanted to play the Item Slinger Tamatoa decks. Yeah, you really just got a very great engine to make use of your item cards to actually take out problem threats. Your Nick Wow and your Popsicle heals up your characters and provides you card draw. So yeah, it's all great. The only issue is just that Launch is uninkable, but I think that's fine. It's a pretty nice card to just use and take out your opponent's threat. So that's the idea for Launch. Moving on finally into Steel, we have Beast Forbidding Recluse. So we finally get to see the ability of the Beast from the playmat. His ability, you're not welcome here. When you play this character, you may deal 1 damage to a chosen character. Very simple, he just pings for 1 damage, that's about it. At 4 cost with 3/4 stats, that is not the most optimal 4 cost character stats, but then hey, he's a nice ability to just ping your opponent's character, and then after that what do? You do stuff like Beast Relentless to actually really Beast Relentless, and you can go for another quest again or something along that line. So if you really wanted something simple to just ping an opponent's character on command, then yes, you can use Beast Forbidding Recluse, but or otherwise, then you can just use Hans, because Hans has a simple ability. Whenever he quests, then you can just ping an opponent's character as well. So yeah, this kind of depends on the build and how you're gonna go about it. I think that in the end, the surprise factor compared to Hans, where you need to wait a turn, still has its place. People will still definitely play these Beasts because Beast actually has a Floodboard now that will definitely make people consider it, because there is a Shift 3 Beast, so that's a 5 cost Beast, and his ability is at the start of your turn, if this character has no damage, draw a card, or otherwise he gets +4 strength. So that means even if he has damage, he's gonna be a 7/5. At 5 cost, 7/5 character with 2 ink is really nice to just trade off your opponent. Not to mention he has Shift 3, so you can technically play him by turn 3. But otherwise, if your opponent doesn't grab your swords or something similar like Smash to just do damage to this Beast Tragic Hero, then he's at least gonna draw your card, and that replaces himself, and that's fantastic. And yeah, that's the Beast Tragic Hero. One thing to consider is this Beast, he's at card number 173. While the previous Beast, the Forbidding Recluse, is at card 171, and we still don't know what is card 172 at the moment. So there is another Beast coming, which hopefully he's a lower cost character, because you want something that's a cost 1 or 2 Beast to actually get to Shift 3 into and play this really early. And yeah, you just need to leave him on the board and just draw a card every single turn. I think that's already beneficial enough. You don't even need to quest with it or try to challenge with it. Just let it stay on the board. If your opponent doesn't have removal, you just draw every single turn. And yes, that's actually a really fantastic ability. I think definitely a lot of people will actually play Beast. And I kind of think it's nuts that there's so many versions of Beast. There's already 2 versions of Beast from the first chapter, and now over here we're gonna have 3 confirmed Beasts for Steel Ink, while we are still at 1 for the Beast Relentless in Emerald. So yeah, that's already 6 versions, sorry, of Beast that are confirmed. So for Beauty and Beast fans, you're gonna have tons of Beasts to play with. Then moving on, next we have Hercules Divine Hero. So this is the one that I was talking about that is better than Raya, because the Hercules Divine Hero shift 4, so you can shift into him on turn 4. His stats are slightly better at 6-3, but the key point over here is he has resist 2. Now, so if your opponent still has 5 strength or more, that means that Hercules Divine Hero will still fail the, well, not fail the challenge, he will be banished in the same challenge, because at 3 plus that 2, and that's 5. So your opponent just needs 5 strength and it will still take out Hercules Divine Hero. But aside from having a character that has 5 strength, where in that case Raya will be better, otherwise Hercules Divine Hero would be much better to just take out an opponent's smaller character, because he has resist, so he's gonna actually survive a lot more often. And then there's not that many characters currently that's really being played in the meta that has 5 strength or more that you're gonna want to crash into. So yeah, I feel that Hercules Divine Hero actually feels like a slightly better card to me compared to the earlier Raya. Next, then Namari, Morning Mist. This was just shown slightly earlier on. She has Bodyguard and she has Blades. This character can challenge ready characters. So this is one card that straight away has the ability for pick a fight built into it, because she can just outright challenge ready characters. So this is the third of such a card, which we've seen pick a fight, and we've seen Cinderella Star-Hearted, and now Namari also has the ability to challenge a ready character. The thing is though, at 2 strength, that's not too fantastic, and she's also uninkable, so that's something that maybe makes her not really that useful, because at 2 strength, let's face it, who are you going to be taking out using her ability? So that means that you actually need to power her up, otherwise she's not going to be that useful enough. But thankfully, there is really some new power-ups in Steel Ink that I'll be showing later on, or just use her to challenge into an opponent's character. 2 strength, yes, it may not be banished yet, but after that, you use the various cards that you have, like your Beast Forbidden Recluse, to ping the extra damage that's needed to just get that character banished. So yeah, Namari is interesting. I'm not too sure who will be playing her, aside from unless there's a meta that requires it. For example, if the Prince John whole new world meta really picks up, then you maybe really need to consider playing Namari in your deck then. And yeah, if you want to actually get her to power up, then you have Charge. Because with Charge, you give a chosen character Challenger +2 and Resist +2, so it'll probably survive the challenge, and yet it gets +2 challenge. So if let's just say it was played on Namari that was shown earlier on, that will give her 4 strength, and she'll probably survive since she has Resist +2 and a willpower of 4. That means your opponent's character actually need to have 6 strength to actually take out Namari, which is not very possible. So yeah, I think that this is a nice combination to have. Namari is not bad, but really again, you need to see the situation. Aside from that, Charge is a really nice card, but you might need to see if there's anything in your deck that you really need to play this more often, because it's not a song card. That means you can't play it for free, or can't make use of, say, Area, Spectacular Singer to make good use of Charge. So you need to put this in with a purpose. So because you want to strengthen some of your characters while helping them to survive. So for example, Aladdin Heroic Outlaw will actually be a nice card, because with extra 2 strength, he'll be able to take out more characters, while with Resist +2, that means your chances are he'll survive the challenge and hopefully get to challenge another time in the following turn to get his ability to be pulled off again. So yeah, once again, Ruby and Steel actually working out quite well. Why do I say that? Because there's another card I'll be showing later on that actually proves that in a way, but we have now Let the Storm Rage On, which is a song card. Deal 2 damage to a chosen character and draw a card. So it's a nice card that replaces itself. You need to use 2 damage though, so that's 1 damage lesser than Smash. and at the same cost of 3 ink, it's uninkable. It's a song card, yes, but I think that there needs to be a bit more benefits because dealing 2 damage to a chosen character isn't really that great because people are already worried about grab your sword, so very often they play characters that have 3 willpower or more. And then aside from that, you're going to have so many new characters now that have resist +2, so dealing 2 damage only isn't really that useful. So you will need to see what's the meta going on. If a lot of people are playing resist, then you're not really going to want to play Let the Storm Rage on. And I think I would still actually prefer to play Smash. And then we have Strength of a Raging Fire, obviously from Mulan, one of my favorite movies. So this one, deal damage to a chosen character equal to the number of characters you have in play, which is not bad. This is, in a way, I feel slightly better compared to Let the Storm Rage on, simply because it's inkable. That means in the situation that you don't really have that many characters in play, just ink it. And then you can just carry on playing whatever other card that you have in your hand. That aside though, having that many characters in play, it really depends on what kind of deck you're building. If you're still going for the Amber Steel deck maybe, then yes, right now that deck actually, depending on your build, if you're playing the build with Lilo, Making a Wish, and Protective Cup, you're actually going to have quite a few characters in play. Then you can get to use the Strength of Raging Fire's ability to do a decent amount of damage. I think if you're having one of those weenie decks, then yes, you can consider playing Strength of Raging Fire because, yeah, even if the situation don't work out, just ink it. No issue with that. So that is that. And last but not least is Weight Set. So this is a card I got to review recently in my previous video. So if you want to find out more on my detailed thoughts on that card, go and check it out. But this is the reason why I actually said that Ruby and Steel might actually work out pretty well, because when you play a character with 4 strength or more, you may pay 1 ink to draw a card. So for me, I think that this is kind of a much improved version of Ursula Shell's Necklace, because the thing is over here, it's much easier to play a stronger character compared to having to play a song. If you have a song deck, yeah, sure, that is still good. But this is uninkable. That's one part that's not great already. And you're not going to have that many song cards in your deck unless you have a very, very specialized deck. In comparison, set is pretty much something that every deck can actually fulfill easily, because you're going to have tons of characters in your deck. Sure, not all of them are going to be 4 strength or more, but that's why you need to see what kind of deck you're building. Especially this is good for your mid to late game because you want the extra ink to pay for it. One of the reasons why I say that this works great with Ruby is because Ruby ink actually has that many late game characters that people are really playing. For example, your Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, and of course your Maui Hero to All. But this is not forgetting the main one, which is Gaston Arrogant Hunter, because at 2 cost is the lowest cost character you can play to actually trigger off Weight Set to draw a card. Sure, you're not going to be able to draw it early game, but then at the later part of the game, I think that this is a really good combination to easily just trigger off a card draw. So that's the idea for Weight Set. I have more details on it. You can check out my card review video, but yeah, I think that this is actually a pretty decent card that you can use as a draw engine for a steel deck, as long as it's built to have that bit more stronger characters. So maybe not for Amber Steel, which is the current top deck for the first chapter, but you're going to try something different, like for example Ruby Steel, then Weight Set is a really nice way to just consistently get your card draws. Otherwise you can ink it, because being inkable makes it that much easier to just stuff into a deck and just play the card. So yeah, and that's it. That's like 28 cards that I talked through over the past, I think, half an hour or so. I think that's all the thoughts I have on this update. And at the moment, we have about 150 cards that are officially announced as of this video. So yeah, there's still quite a bit of cards to catch up on. And the big release is actually just next week. So there's so much to catch up on. I think we'll be getting probably an app dump where we'll get all the cards actually reviewed suddenly in the app, maybe on next Monday or Tuesday. And that's my thoughts on how we'll get the remainder cards. So once we get all the remainder cards, I'll get everything updated into the site and the wiki. So go and follow the wiki, follow Mushu Report on socials to stay updated on that. And then otherwise, yes, wait for my video. It will take a bit longer to come out, because there's so many cards to update if it all comes at one go, but it'll definitely come out. So stay tuned to Mushu Report, and we'll give you all your news that you need. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long video of covering all the latest cards. This is D Summon from Mushu Report, signing out.